Hello, good morning. Woo, it is Saturday, February 22nd. Oh, okay, it's 2/22/2025. I'm live. I know I'm live because it just came up in the little sidebar there. It said I'm live. There we are. I'm going to be symbolically this. This is the most important part of my being currently. And I'll read a little poem that was made into a song and is out. And I even did a remix of it where I had the backing music without a beat. So I really enjoyed that. But it's called Peace is the Path. Okay, I know that I'm the victim or the victor in your game. To pit myself against myself time and time again. This game of life is really just stupid repetition. As soon as you're able, you're in the competition. To the victor, the spoils is spoiling for war. It's me versus me that is keeping me poor. But poverty is not about who has the money. The system is rigged, and I don't find it funny. I feel that I know, and I know that I feel. Surrounded by chaos, I'm keeping it real. Don't believe in your guilt or think it's a sin. I will rise up and I'm searching within. I challenge myself. That's how I improve. I know I'm ready to make my next move. Winning is easy when you open your eyes. First, do no harm and you still get the prize. A will to survive, willing to pray. I am desire and I won't go away. You know, you mean the world to me. Peace is the path to sweet victory. A prisoner of war, I'm not MIA. I am still here and I won't go away. When you're ready, come running to me. Peace is the path to sweet victory. Put the song out, gosh, can't remember when the original song went out date wise. Now I'm trying to find out because I think it's important that one finds out what year you put something out. So the original Piece is the Path was written, gosh, going back. I put out so much music. Okay. The original Piece is the Path, which also has an interesting video. If you look on Tunnel Mental and you find the original Pieces of the Path, it's got a really good video that just happened to snap into place. I asked the maker of the video if we could use it and put credits at the end. I did some tiny edits, but for the most part, the video is really, really interesting too. Pieces the Path, released January 18th, 2019. Wow. Okay. There you go. So, and I'm still on that same path. Hi, Conrad. How you doing, mate? Happy Saturday. Saturday early evening for you. Saturday morning still for me. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, things come to me in prose, poetry, poems, words just come to me and I write them down and make music and art. And I'm working on a song currently. I think it will have the title Mother Earth and Father Time. And occasionally I'll be working on something, I'll go, wow, that sounds just where I wanted it to be. But with this one, I've been working on it for a while. It didn't, something about it just didn't sit right. So I sent it to a friend who I've worked with before, and you should look her up. She's a singer in England and songwriter and musician, but she's also a brilliant woman. Her name is Lula. I'll try and put a link. Hi, Sandra. How you doing? Where are you from, Sandra Beckham? Hello with one L, so like Halo. Oh, my Halo has slipped many times. Anyway, yeah, just normal Saturday morning stuff for me. Lots and lots of stuff. Miami. Oh, I like Miami. Miami. I have lots of friends in Florida, and they're in a group that does a podcast, and I just watched their most recent podcast on Secret Society of Good Guys, and it's just a bunch of people who have explored all the rabbit holes of the conspiracy theories, and it's really, really interesting when you listen to them because they spark each other off. It's 4 usually, or sometimes 5, sometimes 6. But and I've been in contact with Secret Society of Good Guys for a while, and you can also find them on Project Cheney. I'll also put that link. I better make notes. Who did I say I'd link to? Bugger. If I don't make notes, then I don't do things that I think I should do. Links. Lula. Secret Society of Good Guys, or Project Cheney. Yeah, but they're you know, they entertain the whole. I'm talking about Secret Society of Good Guys. They entertain the whole gamut of and there's people that are on the peripherals of them, that they're all exploring the infinite possibilities of going down rabbit holes in history by hearing an opening statement that got you think, oh, wow, I had no idea that Antarctica had a wall around it, and you go, okay, well, I'm going to do some research, and you dig and you dig and you find out like all these weird anomalies, and it's fun. It's fun for people who are interested in, exploring the infinite possibilities. But for some people who are just waking up to the idea that they've been, and I've been too, I have been duped many times in my life. I'm happy to admit that I've been duped into many, many things in my life. But I've always maintained, I've always dragged a foot. When you're being pulled along by something, and you kind of drag a foot and think, I'm not sure if I'm going to go all the way in with. So I've always maintained one foot on the ground. But for many people, they've had 2 feet solidly on the ground the whole time, but then they got duped recently, and then now they found out that they've been duped. They're going, wow, and then they go into conspiracy theories, but they're ill prepared for how fantastic, born out of fantasy some of the stories are. And they're like, wow, so those people, they knew that we were being duped by COVID. They knew we were being duped by COVID, but they're weird. They're talking about, flat Earth and reptiles and all these things. It's like, yes, but remember, you're only skimming the surface of what we really truly know about our own history, our own perceived notions of the world and what it is. But I actually enjoy it. It's a bit like, ancient mysteries. I mean, I get feelings. Like I've been around, well, I've traveled a great deal around the planet, but when I'm in certain places, I get feelings flood my being. One of the most mystical places for me, because I don't know where this flood comes from, but it's a feeling, right? Is the middle of when I'm stood in the middle. Well, it doesn't have to be right smack bang in the middle, but I'm stood amongst, that's a good word, Avebury Stone Circle, and I lived in within sight for several years. I lived within sight of two of the stones from my house. So for the longest time, I was actually looking at out at the stones, and I did have a feeling that my sense of purpose brought me there to that point. I didn't know why, or didn't really go down the rabbit holes and all that things, but I understood the energy from something that is mystical. I mean, people to this day don't know how these gigantic stones got to where they were, why they're in the circle, why there's a mound around the outside, why there's a double row of stones going up to this circle at the end. Maybe it was all just put up by people who were just faking it, but it gives me this feeling. So I'm ready to explore very ancient mysteries that may or may not be true. One of my favorite books was written by a musician called Julian Cope. It's called The Modern Antiquarian. And he goes all over the world. Yeah, all over the world, looking at ancient monoliths and trying to understand why they were placed where they were placed and what for. So I always have been drawn to the ancient mysteries, and nearly all of the conspiracy theories, apart from the obvious new ones, the ones that have happened in our lifetime. Um, for me, 68 years, but for many people, a lot less. Apart from those conspiracy theories, the ones that date back, I'm open-minded about. I'm open-minded about them because I wasn't there to witness it, and I have this feeling when I'm in these ancient places. So some people aren't ready for it, some people are. And some people you think wouldn't be ready for it are actually wide open to it. So that I've discovered recently too. Somebody I thought was like, no, they're a bit too straight laced to understand, the possibilities of, let's say, let's pick one, Tartaria, which, supposedly was a part, well, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But the Tartarian Empire, the idea of the mud floods that came afterwards, the shipping of orphaned children, and that being tied into, the modern conspiracy theory of children being shipped and human trafficking, which I believe is happening. But then, you're like, wow, this person's genuinely interested in the possibilities of the links. So that's it. I mean, things spark off different things, and it's good when you get in a conversation with somebody who's open-minded enough to be able to go, the moon landing was fake, or whatever, and it's like, okay, let's explore the possibilities and look at the evidence we have for it and against it, and really just go into a thought debate. And I'm really interested in that. But anyway, I started today with a poem called Peace is the Path. I'm on a peaceful path in my life because I want to experience peace in the world. So that's where I put myself, and my timeline is actually syncing up with a lot of other people. And I think individually, when I talk to people, when I get a person on one-to-one, even if they're so radically opposed to most of what I believe, but when I get them in conversation one on one, they want love and peace and to be left alone to live their life. That's what they want most. And it's like, how large a group do you have to get to be going in the wrong direction and go, oh well, I just got to go along with it? This is where some of the most devious psychology and propaganda is used. So the deep part of psychology, which looks at groupthink, or it's the mass psychosis. It's how large, how small, how large, how small does the group have to be able to go, I don't care how much evidence you prove me this is this, I'm still going to go with this is not this. How much? So it's like, when, at what point does the shift happen? And in the collective, because the propaganda's been so orchestrated for such a long time, they've got to the point now, I believe, with some of the media where they only have to drop the tiniest of seed for people to go, oh my gosh. And the thing is, fear is always at the basis. Fear of missing out is one of the big ones. There's the shortened text FOMO, fear of missing out. That's a big one. That's actually a really large one, because we all want to feel like we belong to the one, the oneness. We all want to belong to the oneness, that unification of humanity. But as soon as we get led by the nose, by propaganda, we separate ourselves from the herd. And the biggest one, obviously, is fear. That's the one that everybody's going, oh my God, they're going to. And it's like, well, how long have they been threatening to going to? So fear of being, not being. Yeah, well, to be or not to be a pencil. To be, fear, to be or not to be, that is the question. Where it's nobler to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Taking little snippets out of what was deemed to be Shakespeare's work. Again, another conspiracy theory. Shakespeare was illiterate. William Shakespeare was illiterate. Francis Bacon wrote all of Shakespeare's work, and Bacon and Shakespeare was very good at entertaining people, getting people collected, making them be in a play, and just organizing things, and he put his name on everything. And I think Bacon was in the background going, we can say something about how society is run. But I mean, you can go down that Francis Bacon rabbit hole too, which is very interesting because it ties in with a lot of the fakery of British history, where we still, in this day and age, the British still have some ridiculous, sorry, but the British people still have a ridiculous need for a king or a queen or a monarch or somebody to tell them you can and you can't do that. That's basically why I moved away from England, was I couldn't see listening to the top tier of the class system that is still very, very prevalent in England. Um, I couldn't abide by being told by somebody who rides around in a gold carriage with $1 billion hat on. I, no, come on. Emperor's new clothes, anybody? Anyway, so yeah, I mean, but we all fight our own battles, you know, individually and collectively. But the collective has been misled. And now the collective has to forgive itself because they know they were duped. The collective even knows they were duped. So now the collective has to forgive itself. And that's tough. Who's going to be the first one to go, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. You guys all around me, stop. I was wrong. I was wrong. We're going in the wrong direction. Let's just straighten this boat out and go on this middle path and see what happens. Because we've been going over here to the extreme, over here to the extreme. So I'll be the first. Here you go. I'm actually not the first, but you know, whatever. It's not a competition. I've been leading you down the wrong path. Peace is the path. Oh, you knew that? Then why are you going in the opposite direction? Oh, okay, because of the collective. Well, you don't have to follow them anymore. Follow yourself. Follow your heart. Use your intelligent heart. I need to be accepted. I need to belong. I'm only 5'6" and I need to belong. Bad jokes. But you have to keep a sense of humor. Okay. There is strange crowd psychology. And well, I mean, yeah. Jung was very good with, because he didn't stop at he and Freud kind of, even though they corresponded with each other, they went different paths. Freud, and it was funny because Freud's nephew, Edward Bernays, went to America, had studied Freud, and had studied crowd behavior, and had studied psychology, and became the head. He made himself into a billionaire by going to the States, or the equivalent of a billionaire, by working in advertising and selling people things that they didn't want, selling people things they did not want through advertising. Edward Bernays, and he was the nephew of Freud. So when Freud and Jung were, you know, parallel playing with the modern science, and it is a science, it's not a pseudoscience of psychology, when their branches went, you know, away from each other, and you know, Jung took it further. He went deep into mythology and the way the myths the myths intertwine with our reality, because the mythology is our history, and our history does shape some of what we are today, because we believe, you know, if we believe in these monsters that we create, then we're in danger of becoming the monster that we create. So we have to work with the mythology as well. So he went into myths, he went into animus, he went into our whole belief system being based, but at no point did he lose sight of the one thing that unites all of us regardless, which is there is a creator and it's a mystery. Who, what, when, where, how, creation. But because we're pig-headed in our need to absolutely know everything, we're splitting atoms and supposedly, and I mean, I haven't seen one split, so don't know, but we're supposedly making the smallest particle. I think it's called the Higgs. Well, they named it the Higgs boson, but with particle colliders, and they've experimented with all sorts of nuclear implosions, explosions, to see where it all started, where did it all come from, what are we, how are they're trying to play God. Mary Shelley, whose partner was I'm gonna mash up names, but I'm sorry, but she was married, Mary Shelley, gosh darn it, but she wrote the modern Prometheus, which has the other name Frankenstein. But Frankenstein wasn't the monster. Everybody goes, "Oh, look, I'm going to be Frankenstein." It's like, no, Frankenstein was the doctor. Read the book. Absolutely read the book, but read an original. Read the original book, and you'll understand that it's all about playing God, and this bombing the particles or blasting off into other planets. There is no planet B. There's no second Earth. There is this Earth, whether it be flat, round, or domed, or circular shaped or triangular. It doesn't matter. But this is where we as humans came from, this Earth, and we're going back to this Earth. So understanding just that basic principle, why are we blasting through space and spending billions of dollars, or even if we are or not, and we can get into that possibility, but whether we are or not blasting into space or diving the deepest depths of the oceans, what are we looking for? We're looking for a sense of belonging to a bigger picture, which is basically the mystery, which is you will never be God. You will always be a fractal of God, because, and I use the word God because everybody does, but it's just names, but just words. But this idea of the ultimate creator, well, that's arrogant if you think that's the ultimate creator. We're the ultimate creator. Well, we are fractals of God. We are the ultimate creator, but we've become the destroyer of men, not the creator of men. We have, in the Kali Yuga, Kali, we are destroyers. It's like, no, we're not. We're doing a dance. But the thing is, we've got to be very aware that the dance can take us close to the edge of a reality that we don't want to be the catalyst for. I am not lighting the blue touch paper and backing away going, oh my God, it's all going to go. No, I don't really need to know. There's a church I passed the other day. What was it? Oh, the Church of Science. Okay, so I was like, interesting, Church of Science. And then I thought about it. It's like, well, the Church of Scientology, and how massive that has become. How massive that has become because of the modern popularity of it. But the thing is, these little cults that start up have the intention of growing. They have the intention of owning you. They have the intention of making you question your validity in this massive picture of the world, or this universe, or this multiverse, or whatever you want to call it. But in truth, there is always a mystery that will be beyond your imagination. We can't even possibly imagine how this all got to this point. If we're going to follow a timeline, a linear timeline, we can't imagine how we got to this point, ever. Not really. So we have to let it go. There's the old saying, let go, let God. Well, yes. But being a fractal of God, we have questions. But those questions can't be answered in our human experience. At the end of our human experience, where I believe we become eternal beings, because our spirit is bigger than our persona, our spirit. And to go back to Jung's went so deep and dark in certain places, and yet at no point did he ever lose faith in God. Never did he, because he knew there was not an answer, no matter how old he became, or how learned he became, or how educated he became. He couldn't speak for God. So anybody who stands between you and your belief of God is giving you their version. Might be nice, might be interesting, but don't give up your own connection, because your connection to God is your spirit, and your spirit is eternal. And I sound like I'm pontificating way too much. So I'm going to take a sip of coffee. People behave differently. They do. Every individual's got their own set of thoughts and beliefs and systems of operating. But again, I've made this analogy. Each snowflake is different. But if you see a snow drift, whoosh, you're like, wow. That is where our problems arise from. Is we don't consider ourselves to be individually powerful. We only think of the collective as powerful. Well, individually, we're equally as collective, equally as powerful as the collective. But we have to have a basis in our own faith and belief. And I believe that peace is the path. I believe that unconditional love is what we're born with and what we go out with. So ultimately, try and live your life in love and peace. Ultimately, I mean, that's your here is your guide for life: love and peace. And that way, whatever ripples in the fabric of time we see, and this is why I'm struggling with this song a little bit too, because I got the words came to me and then I wrote them down and then I recorded them. But I'm struggling with this new song because it really does pertain to mother and father, you know, which Mother Earth and Father Time. And understanding that is to understand your humanity, your Mother Earth and your Father Time. So it's, yeah. So, it's, whoa, why was I given those? Why were those words? And we'll see, my collaborator, my friend Lisa, will come up with something, because she's very, very, very connected to the greater good. That's a better word for it, isn't it, really? The greater good. Instead of it being like, my God's bigger than your God. Whether your religion is your guiding principle or not is irrelevant. So the greater good is probably better than me saying creator or consciousness or God or Yahweh or Muhammad or Buddha, or these are all people that are there, that come up to remind us you're not going to know, or that at least they should remind us that you're not gaining knowledge from me, you're gaining knowledge from the greater good. The knowledge, we measure it, don't we? Ooh, he's not so bright. He left school when he was 11 years old. He's not intelligent. Well, maybe that makes you more intelligent because you didn't get as much indoctrination. Who knows? I'm not saying I am or you are or we are, but I'm just saying that we have to think about it and learn and unlearn constantly in life that this is the way to go. Oh, but the consequences of that are going to do this. So I'm not, and again, I'll own up to my mistakes. I mean, gosh, I've made plenty, but that's how I learn. Again, that came up in the lyric to Pieces the Power. I challenge myself. That's how I improve. Right. People behave differently. Yeah, they do. Don't like violent people. 35 minutes of whittering to myself. That'll do. Thank you very much for joining me, Conrad and Sandra Beckham. And I appreciate it. And I'll put some links underneath this and post it now. I hope you don't mind me calling out your names, because I think we've all got to take a certain measure of responsibility for being human. And I like responsibility, my fatherly responsibility, especially. I love my kids so much. All right, that's that. Live, love, life. Make peace your path. All right. Love you. Bye.